Good morning, good morning, good morning. It is Friday, the 31st of October 2025. It is Halloween. Welcome, my pretties, to the den of iniquity and sin. That is Morning Brew on Politics Social. I am Graham Hughes. I'll be your ringleader, ringmaster, ring piece today. Welcome to one and all. If you'd like to join our friends in the chat, our spooky chat with Diz and Miss Paula Thomas and Martin Harrow and Viper Scott, Freckle Pewdie, Black Dot, Francis and Sarah and others. If you would like to join our friends in the chat here, all you need to do is hit the subscribe button. Wait for one of your ungodly moments, minutes even. And you should be able to gain access. You should be able to gain access. Okay, so Prince Andrew's no longer a prince. He's just Andrew. Andrew Mountbatten, I think his name is now. He has been a thorn in the side of the royal family for many, many years. And finally, they have grabbed the nettle. They have taken hold of the nettle and pulled it out. Why now? Why? Why now? Why after all the, why didn't they do this when it all first emerged? He did that Newsnight interview and it was just with Emily Maitlis, and it was just horrific. And he claimed that he didn't sweat and he was in Pizza Express in Woking on that day and he never met that woman. He then there was a picture of him with her, and he said that wasn't me or something. And Ghislaine Maxwell, a picture obviously taken by one of the most notorious paedophiles in the world, Jeffrey Epstein. And then he went on to give Virginia Giuffre £12 million, of which we don't know where it came from. We still don't know. We're going to find out though. It's going to Parliament. Did you know this? Yeah. Parliament's going to rake over all of Prince Andrew's expenses. So we're going to find out exactly who paid that £12 million. Yeah. So there you go. No longer a duke, no longer a prince, just a massive fucking nonce. Just an embarrassment, not just to the royal family, not just to our country, but to humanity. Here's this pampered man-child. A guy who still has fucking teddy bears in the right order on his bed, even though he's pushing 70. I mean, this is a really grim person. Like, why would you have teddy bears on your bed? This is a guy who likes them young. Yeah? He's got so fucked up. Anyway, it's taken decades, taken scandals up the kazoo, it's taken a memoir, it's taken emails and the patience of a saint, but at long last, the Mr. I Don't Sweat, Your Honour, is no longer a prince. He's been stripped of his title and he's been booted out of his massive country estate. Good. I think they call it the Royal Cottage or something. It's got like 27 rooms, something like that. The Royal Lodge, old chap, He had a lease for 75 years and it's worth over £8 million. And he paid that, up front to avoid paying rent, apparently. And I mean, now he's going to Sandringham, which is in Norfolk. Literally Norfolk Radio. But this new accommodation will be privately funded by King Charles. None of this money's going to come from the taxpayer, apparently. But here's the thing, and we're going to get into this, right? Whatever your view on the monarchy, whether you should have it or not, that's not the discussion we're going to have today. What we're going to talk about today is how, even if, this is coming from Charles's private money, his private money comes from us. He's one of the richest people in the country, King Charles. He's richer than Rishi Sunak now, which is fucking rich. He was a lot richer than the Queen. The Queen was only worth about 220 million in 2022 when she carked it. Whereas Prince Charles is worth over 630 million, at least, that we know of. But, Andrew's leaving one palace for another. Might have lost his monogrammed slippers. I don't know if he still gets his chauffeur. But Andrew is very much the symptom, not the disease, right? And this isn't just about the royal family. I want to talk about privilege. I want to talk about the fact that there are a group of people living amongst us that believe that we are inferior. They believe that we, the people, are scum. And they believe that they have a God-given, divine right given by the creator of the universe to piss, or worse, on us, on the people who aren't born into this higher level of society, the people who went to state schools rather than going to these very, very posh, fucked up boarding schools where these little monsters are allowed to flourish. And yes, not everyone who goes to private school turns out a wrong 'un, but the ones who do, it's not just that they're wrong 'uns, friends. Listen, it's that would be bad enough. But these are wrong 'uns with a considerable amount of power and influence over our lives, over our everyday lives. That's the problem. That's the issue right there. And so when people ask, what's the one thing you'd like to delete to make the world a better place, I would say private schools. Not just in this country, around the fucking world. End them. Just end them. Schooling should be a human right that is enjoyed by everyone. And do you know what would really help the PTA? Do you know what would really help the Board of Governors, the local comp? Having a millionaire on the PTA, having a billionaire on the Board of fucking Governors. But that doesn't happen because all the rich people send their little crotch nuggets off to private school. They do not mix with us. They do not fall in love with us. They're not friends with us. They don't hang out with us. They don't go to festivals and gigs with us. They don't go down the cinema with us. They don't go to the pub with us. They are separated off at birth. And there's a two-tier system in this country. Nigel Farage, who is part of the upper echelon tier, he knows all about this. And he tries to make it like, oh no, this is about how, badly treated I am as a rich person, not being able to, have a posh bank account. He talks about two-tier banking. Can you believe that? Two-tier banking. There's people in this country who are drowning under student debt that he never had, drowning under debt from payday loan companies that fucked them over years ago, and they're still paying off those debts one way or another. The government changed the rules on taking equity out your house, didn't they? Yeah, because all these fucking cowboys fucking people over, taking out a few grand and then ended up losing their entire home. But still, it goes on. Still, people are dealing with the consequences of these fuckers. Nigel Farage doesn't have to worry about that. He doesn't worry about getting a bank account. If you're homeless, it's very hard to get a fucking bank account. They pay benefits into bank accounts. It's not like you turn up at the DHSS as it was in the 1980s, I think. Or was that a department store? I don't know. Right? You turn up, right, and you got your money. It's not like that anymore. You got to have a bank account. And he's whinging about not being able to get a posh bank account while there's hundreds of thousands of people in this country who struggle to just get a bank account. Because they don't have a permanent residence. They don't have somewhere they can put the address down for. And he's talking about two-tier stuff. No, this is the tier, my friends. Listen, this is the tier, right? It is us, the normal people who went to normal schools, who grew up in normal circles, right? And then there's the posh, the rich, who control fucking everything. And Sarah Puchin going on the Murdoch channel saying, I don't like seeing black faces. I fucking hate. She used the word hate. I hate seeing black faces and brown faces on the telly. That's what she fucking said. That fucking monster, right? That racist piece of shit, right? She went to private school, You do know that, right? Unlike most of the people in Runcorn and Helsby, who she represents, they didn't go to private school. Runcorn's a bit of a down, it's not that nice. It's not that nice a place, you know. Anyway, Chris C, thank you very much for the £10 super chat. The only reason why Andrew and Fergie have been stripped of their HRH titles is to protect the rest of the royal family, as serious questions were about to be asked about its future. Well, yes, you're right, and I will get to that. But first, I'm going to set a goal. Hey. I'm going to set a spectacular goal, and we've got 45 minutes, right? And if we get 10 super chats in, I will ghosts for all. Okay, let's just get loads of ghosts. There you go. You can all have ghosts. Okay, so yeah, any colour. Put 50p in the idiot. And I'll do you know what as well? I'll do a bit of a longer show. I know I've got to go and do Phil's show at 1:00. We've got to do the agenda, which I'm going to be going off on the fact that the Renters' Rights Bill came in and Labour didn't tell anyone. Wasn't on the front cover of a single fucking newspaper this week. Renters' rights came into law. Nobody knows. The renters don't know. The landlords don't know. Great. King Charles only stripped Andrew and Fergie of the HRS titles not because it was the right thing to do, because he's protecting his brand and income sources. Well, let's get into this. Ooh, Francis Winrow right in there with a super chat. No messing around. No muckadoodling. The first of 10. Thank you. Thank you, Francis. Okay, so basically, these do you know what though? The statement from the palace. Andrew statement. Let me read this because I think this is a really, really good statement. And you know, your mileage may vary. You might think that I'm talking bollocks here, but like, listen to this, right? His Majesty has today initiated a formal process to remove the style, titles, and honours of Prince Andrew. So this is not voluntary. That's really important to remember, right? Because when they got stripped him of his dukedom, they said it was his decision. It wasn't. But they said it was his decision to give him some, a bit of dignity, and they let him run the PR on that. And Andrew can't run PR because he is a privileged little shit who's never lived in the real world. He hasn't got a clue. He is an infant in an old man's body. Arrested Development is his middle name, really. Actually, no. Prince Andrew will now be known as Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. His lease on the Royal Lodge has to date provided him with legal protection to continue in residence. Formal notice has now been served to surrender the lease, and he will move to alternative private accommodation. These censures are deemed necessary, notwithstanding the fact that he continues to deny the allegations against him. Okay? So that's normal legalese. Allegedly, he continues to deny whatever. But here's the bit that really makes this absolutely, this has never happened before in history, right? Their Majesties wish to make it clear that their thoughts and utmost sympathies have been and will remain with the victims and survivors of any and all forms of abuse. That is basically saying we are not standing by this motherfucker. He may deny it, but we know. We know. And the word for the victims, finally, from the upper echelons, that's quite rare. Normally, if you ever hear about a victim, it's usually victim blaming. What were they doing there? Why did they do that thing? Why did they wear that thing? Why did they go to that place? Why did they allow themselves to be in that situation? We have this fucked up sense of, I don't want to call it justice because that's not the right word, but it's like this, that there's so many people out there who think that people are poor because they didn't work hard enough. They didn't pull themselves up by the bootstraps. And it's a fucking fantasy. I mean, it's a childish fantasy, but like a particularly horrible child. One of those kids who pull the legs off insects. It's one of them kids, little psychos, right? That's what it is, right? Saying, the people who don't have much, it's because they don't work as hard as what, Elon Musk? No, it's all fucking luck. It is all luck. Look at me, right? Not for too long, because but the stuff I've done in my life has been absolute luck, absolute 100% luck. The people I met, the school I went to, the places I went, just the timing of stuff. Could you believe that I was in Australia for just a couple of weeks? I wasn't there for long. I was there for my then girlfriend's sister's wedding, and I got asked if I could come into Lonely Planet to have a meeting about possibly going to every country in the world without flying, right? While I was there. If that message had come a week later, I wouldn't have been in Australia. And I think this was before fucking Skype, or maybe it was at the beginning of Skype. I don't know. It probably would have been a phone call rather than a face-to-face. And when you're trying to pitch a TV show to someone, you want it to be face-to-face. I'm sorry, I know that's not great for the environment, but it's not the same on a screen. It really, really isn't. So yeah, it is very much all the things that happened in my life, dumb fucking luck. Absolute dumb fucking luck. And I can look back and go, yeah, well, I worked really hard. Yeah, do you know what? Everyone works fucking hard at doing something, I do not believe there are people who are content to live their entire life just sitting on the couch. I just don't think it happens. You might be able to pick 1 in a million, but most people are like, I want to do something. I want to do something. Even if you for whatever reason, because of your circumstances, you can't do much, people still try. They just do. But we have this mentality, and it's bad enough that the rich think this, but people who aren't rich think this as well, where they go, oh, well, it must be my fault, really, if you think about it. It must be my fault that, I didn't work hard enough. I didn't pull myself up by the bootstraps. I got tired. Fuck me. You bastard. How dare you get tired? You fell in love with the wrong person. You made a mistake in your life. These fuckers, right? They can make all the mistakes they like. Andrew's lost his prince title. So fucking what? He's like 18th in line to the throne. That's been taken away from him, by the way. That's going to be taken away by Parliament. But even so, he's never going to be king. He's never going to be the monarch of this country. He's gone from one big palace to live in, one big fucking mansion house. He's gone to another mansion house in North Norfolk. He's going to just live his rest of his life. He's 70 years old, isn't he? So he's going to be 70. And so, he's at an age when anyone else would just be thinking of retiring, I guess. Not my generation, obviously, but, older people. And pottering around the garden. And, I don't know, voting in elections. So, is this a punishment? I mean, there's an argument that he should go to jail for what he's done. But good luck making that stick now. But why now? Why now? Why is this happening now? Miss Paula Thomas has a different theory. Charles removed the titles because it was better than Parliament doing it. I think it was communicated that government time would be provided. Yes, Paula, that's a very good point as well. That's why I was saying why now. So there's that factor, absolutely. So there's a few things here. First of all, Paula, I think you're right. I think you're absolutely right. There have been people talking, MPs talking in Parliament about stripping him of his titles, and if parliamentary time was given over to that, it would happen. It would absolutely happen. The government's not going to give time to it if they didn't think it would go through, and they'll whip their MPs to say get rid of his title. So again, being pushed before he was pushed by someone else, I guess, because you can't say push before you jump because I don't think he was ever going to jump. So he was just pushed. Yeah, the other thing is that I think worse things are going to come out. You could look at this as Virginia Giuffre's revenge from beyond the grave. Absolutely, you can see it like that. But I think worse things are going to come out. I think they know something that is even worse than what he did to Virginia Giuffre. But her memoir has reignited this scandal. The 92% of the population of this country have a negative reaction, negative view of Prince Andrew, or just Andrew, I guess we'll call him now. And he had these. There's 3 allegations made in the book of this then 40-year-old man having sex with this 17-year-old girl who was trafficked to the UK, and also in Florida and also on Epstein's Island. And she took her own life this year, so she can't be touched now. She can't be sued. She can't be shut up. There's no slaps case. There's no, shut up and take your, there's no way of making her sign an NDA. She's gone. NDA? Yeah, non-disclosure agreement. And she brought down this motherfucker with her truth and her extraordinary courage. And it's just so sad that she's not here to see this. And this is the real harm. She's no longer with us. She took her own life. This is the real harm that has been committed, been done in the world by this monster. And it's not just an inconvenience for the royal family. It's just not, and all that I can see at the moment is like, why did it take so long? What was that establishment delay? Maybe if this had happened last year or the year before or the year before that, or immediately after he gave that fucking Newsnight interview in 2019, maybe Virginia Giuffre would still be with us. Miss Paula Thomas, thank you very much for the £5 super chat. I saw an interview with a Royal Protection Officer yesterday. Those secrets are already coming out. Well, according to Mike, who was talking to a Royal Protection Officer, the code name for Prince Andrew was the C Unit. But let's talk about the Royal Cash Machine. Let's talk about this. Now, Andrew's lost his title, but let's talk about what the rest of them have kept, all right? So there's the Duchy of Lancaster and the Duchy of Cornwall, right? The Duchy of Lancaster brought in 27.4 million last year. The Duchy of Cornwall brought in 23.6 million. These are some of the poorest areas in the country. The Duchy of Lancaster, the historic Duchy of Lancaster, that includes the city of Liverpool. So if you die without any next of kin and without leaving a will, your money goes to the royal family. Did you know that? In Liverpool, if you leave a will, there's a special word for it, possibly in Latin, I don't know. If you don't leave a will, and you don't have an obvious next of kin, then that money automatically goes to the crown. Prince William in this case. It used to go to Prince Charles when he was in charge of the duchies, and now it goes to Prince William. The combined value of these duchies is over £1.8 billion. They pay no corporation tax, no capital gains tax. The sovereign grant is rising to 135 million a year, and the royals voluntarily pay income tax, although it's not legally required. Duchies are private estates but act like public authorities when convenient. So we make money. The government does make money from these estates. We do. That's a fact. But a lot of that money is being siphoned off to the royal family, who don't need it. Like I said, Prince Charles is sitting on a personal wealth of over £620 million. That's more money than any one of us could spend in several lifetimes. And that's going to pay for his kids and pay for everything. He doesn't have to pay for his own royal protection officers. He doesn't have to pay for all the pomp and ceremony when he does his coronation. That he didn't pay for that himself. He didn't pay for his own wedding. The taxpayer paid for that. Either of those weddings. Viper Scott, £5 super chat. That sounds very nice to me. Thank you, sir. Thank you very kindly. It was interesting to see Farage try and get a debate on the UK to leave the ECHR. That started the new Brexit. Small boat crap, in my opinion. Alistair. So he brought this, was it yesterday, the 10-minute bill? People were freaking out about it. And I was just like, Labour are going to just ignore it because it's just a 10-minute bill. I mean, the government don't have to do it. You have a debate in Parliament and you have a vote on it. And then the government is safe to ignore it. But they didn't like, Stella Creasy and some of the backbenchers didn't like the message it was sending. So they turned up and voted with the Lib Dems against Refuck and a lot of Tories to make sure that this did not even win in a mock debate. Let's call it a mock debate. But while what's his name, that little twat, Farage was talking while he was on his feet, someone shouted, was it Putin's puppet? Putin's puppet. And he got completely derailed by it. He looked like he was about to burst into tears, actually. Chris C says Andrew should be held at His Majesty's pleasure. What, in the Red Room in the basement? Oh, you mean a prison? Sorry. Not supposed to know about that, are we? Martin Harrow, thank you so much for the £2 super chat. Halfway point. Thank you, Martin. That's very kind of you. And also Freckle Puny, £2 super chat. It's official. Andrew M. Windsor is joining Reform. Hey, I would actually love it if he fucking did, because that would make Refuck look so bad. It will make Refuck look so bad. But yeah, please let's have. So look, these duchies of and like I said, these areas are some of the poorest areas in the country that the Duchy of Lancaster and the Duchy of Cornwall comprise. And they are exempt from hundreds of British laws. And the current arrangements stem from the 14th century, so the 1300s. It's like an accident of history. And don't forget, 50% of the land of the United Kingdom is held, 50% is held by the descendants of the mates of William the Conqueror, who came over from France, a Viking, no less, a Northman, a Norman from France, because a bunch of Vikings settled in Normandy, right? And they came over, right? Took over Britain, England. They took over England, Anglo-Saxia, whatever the fuck it was called back then. And he divvied up the country amongst his mates. And here we are, nearly 1,000 years later, and the country still divvied up amongst the mates of some guy who invaded from another country and fucked up our language because he brought in loads of French words. Was it King Stephen who couldn't speak any English? He could only swear. He only knew swear words. Maybe it was William II. I don't know. Anyway, this is kind of crazy. Okay, so I've got the term. It's bona vacantia. Bona vacantia. This is when people die without heirs in Cornwall or Liverpool, etc. Ordinary estates go to the royal coffers. Cornwall alone, estates of people dying without wills funnel to the duchy. And public assumes that this money goes to the treasury. It does not. It goes to the duchy. Plus, these duchies are charging public services. Okay, the NHS paid over £11.4 million. Oh my God, how many MRI machines could you buy for 11.4 million? At least two. I don't know how much they cost, but like 11.4 million over 15 years for an ambulance warehouse. The Ministry of Justice pays £37 million to lease Dartmoor Prison for 25 years. The army pays to train on Dartmoor. No, I'm saying the NHS pays. I'm saying the Ministry of Justice pays. I'm saying that the army pays. I'm saying that the Navy pays £1 million to more, or just refuel, right? To just pull up and refuel near Dartmouth College. They've paid over £1 million since 2004 to do that. The Royal National Lifeboat Institute, the RNLI, right? It's charged rent for slipways to use to go into the water to rescue people who are fucking drowning. £600 each. And I say NHS, I say MOJ, I say Army, I say Navy, I say the RNLI, but it's us. We're paying for that. We are. We're giving money to a guy whose family is worth over £1 billion fucking pounds. And we're giving money to him. The more little we've got. Instead of when someone dies in Liverpool without a will, without heirs, without any next of kin, instead of that money going to Liverpool to pay, to clean up the rubbish, to fill in the potholes, to remove the graffiti, to make a park that kids can fucking play in. You know, instead of doing that, that money goes to one of the richest humans on the fucking planet. Are you fucking kidding me? Are you fucking kidding me? And yet, if you watch the TV, if you watch any kind of political debate in this country, because it's dominated from people who are just like the royal family, born into a league of privilege that we will never know, they always defend it. They always go, oh, no, yeah, you got to keep the king now, haven't you? You can't get rid of the whole family. You know what I mean? Come on. Okay, I'll meet you halfway, right? Let's not get rid of the monarchy, right? Let's fucking tax them. Let's fucking tax them till the pips squeak. Let's make them pay their fair share. That's all I ask. Absolutely devastating statistics coming out yesterday that if people are earning over £1 million a year, they pay a lower rate of tax than someone who's earning 11,000. 11. Sorry, what is the base rate? Is it 11,800? So if you're working as an NHS nurse and you just started out, you pay a higher percentage of your income in tax than a millionaire, and the higher it goes up, once you get to 4 to 7 million a year, you pay even less of your income in income tax as a proportion. But unfortunately, all of the major mainstream media, all that kind of stuff, all the social media, it's all owned by very rich people who just want more money. They will never have enough because they're fucking psychopaths. And, public services right now are on their knees. We're being told there's no money, mostly because of Brexit, but there's no money. Meanwhile, the Royals keep the wind farm profits. That's for Charles. It's £28 million. That would buy a few MRI machines, wouldn't it? That would pay for a few nurses, wouldn't it? They're exempt from inheritance tax. You're not. Well, you are, because you're not going to inherit £1 million fucking pounds, are you? And then estates worth billions are shielded by this medieval fucking privilege. And you've got strike ballots going on for nurses. You've got Food Bank Britain, where people who are working aren't being paid enough, so they're having to go to fucking food banks. Local authorities are collapsing. Birmingham's gone bankrupt. Local authorities all over the country going bankrupt because central funding has been cut to the bone. You got those refuck dickheads turning up and saying, we're going to turn up with a chainsaw, and we're going to cut all these costs. We're going to cut all these costs. We're going to cut all these costs in. We're going to make these savings in local government. And they turn up to local government. And they go, oh, shit, there's no savings to be made here, lads. Bollocks, But here we have a situation where royal wealth is insulated and subsidised while all this is going on. And look, I'm not having the debate today to abolish the monarchy, right? I think that's a debate for another day, which we should have, definitely. But I want to see them pay corporation tax. I want them to see them pay capital gains tax. I want capital gains to be on the same level as income tax. Why is money made from your labour taxed harder than money that is made while you're asleep on your assets? How is that fair? How is that equitable? End the bona vacantia grabs. The people who die without a will. The estates need to go to the local authorities. The local authorities. Audited. We know where it goes. It helps fill in the fucking potholes. Put a little plaque in the fucking pothole if you like. This pothole was filled in by, Jane Doe. Well done. Thank you, Jane, for filling in this pothole with the meagre funds you had when you carked it. And then you've got fold the duchies into the Crown Estate or Treasury control. So Crown Estate's separate from these two duchies, and then the government control the Crown Estates. And then we need transparency and parliamentary oversight. Treat them like wealthy citizens, not divine right, absolute fucking landlords, right? If we must have a monarchy, fine, but it shouldn't operate like a private fucking hedge fund. On life support from us, the taxpayers. That shouldn't fucking happen. Okay? I'd love anyone to disagree with me, because I don't think there can be any disagreements on this. Is there anyone who's willing to just put the balls on the line and say, yeah, I think it's great that they make all this money and off us, and yeah. So Andrew's, modern monarchy survives on public goodwill. Obviously, Andrew's fucking smacked that left, right, and centre, hasn't he? It shows the limits of our deference, our tugging our forelocks and doffing our caps, tugging our caps and doffing our forelocks. And if they want to remain relevant, we do have to get rid of these feudal finances. We've got no tax dodging. That's it. No profiting from public services. You're not profiting for the fucking NHS, mate. You're not profiting for the fucking arm and an eye. No, you're not profiting from that. And no cashing in on the estates of the dead. Just end of. No, doesn't happen, right? Doesn't happen. And the mad thing is, if you die in Crewe, for instance, your money does go to the government if you die without a will, right? And no heirs. But in Liverpool, in my city, if you die, and Liverpool's one of the most Republican places, not Republican American Republican, but British Republican, as in we don't like the monarchy. It's one of the most Republican places on the fucking planet, you know. And yet, it's a place where people who are lifelong anti-monarchists fucking die, and then their money is given to the monarchy. Jesus Christ, it's like a cruel joke. So look, Andrew losing his titles is bare minimum, right? And it's welcome. It's absolutely welcome. I'm not going to deny that. But Britain deserves transparency and fairness and dignity, not hereditary exile cos fucking play, you know? If you want the crown, you pay your taxes like the rest of us. That's it, you know? They get so many perks. We pay for their clothes. We pay for their food. You know, they're scrounging off the state. They've always have. Prince Philip was an immigrant. He came from Greece. He was actually not just an immigrant, my friends. Prince Philip, asylum seeker. You do understand that his family ran away from Greece because of what was going down there. You do know that. Half his family joined up with the fucking Nazis. They went to Germany. And thankfully, I guess, they don't fucking carked it in a plane crash, but they were Nazis. They were like, yeah, I love this Nazi guy. He's cool. Prince Philip came here from another country as an asylum seeker and lived in his entire life living off benefits. Throw that at a fucker. Say, hang on. So which asylum seekers do you not like then? Tell me. Isn't it interesting? Isn't it fucking interesting? Anyway, so yeah, I'd love to see if anyone wants to argue against me on this. He's not my king, says Mr. Tisk. Yeah, he's not even royal anymore. Probably be loitering for scraps. Please, Charles, please give me some taxpayers' money. I have lawyers draining one's remaining funds. Record Beauty says, also, if you leave a will, it can be made public, and we know how much the likes of George Michael and David Bowie left in their estates royal wills. On the other hand, they're kept secret. Yeah. Mr. Tish says, let's get rid. Franz says, years ago, Spitting Image did a sketch about the royals having to move into high-rise flats. I remember that sketch. That was good. Sue Townsend wrote a book about the Queen and her family having to move to a high-rise tower block. It was turned into theatre and TV production, says Freckle Puny. Sue Townsend, did she write Adrian Mole? Wasn't that the author of Adrian Mole? Nothing to argue about grain politics. Personally, I would go further. I'm not really a monarchist, says Joanna. Yeah. Joanna, you dropped in a super chat the other day via PayPal, and when it came up on my phone, I only got the beginning of the message, so there was a bit more to the message which I saw afterwards. If you want me to read that out, I will. I feel really bad now, because normally when someone gives a super chat, obviously I read the whole message out. I don't just read the first line. But it was just that it came up, and it was just like, it was a one sentence. It wasn't like halfway through the sentence, it went ... So I thought there was more. So I didn't realise till I checked my PayPal yesterday. I was like, oh, sorry, Paul. Sorry, Joanna. Sorry about that. Sorry. Haru, he says the non-aristocratic asylum seekers. Yeah. They did that. They kept the privilege and relinquish all responsibility. Philip still related to QE2. Yeah, they were cousins. English law, if no wife or kids and an only child next in line are cousins. That's interesting. Part 2 for what Andy was up to during his time as trade envoy, investigate the fraud. Well, yes. Well, I think Jimmy Anderson's bowling genius. I think that's going to be some of the stuff that's coming out. I do think there's more stuff to come out. I generally do. Should we have a look at the papers? Should we go and have a look at the papers? You'll never guess what's dominating the front page of the papers today. You will absolutely never guess. Never in 100 million, squillion, trillion years. Right? Here we go. We have the Daily Express. King removes style, titles, and honours from brother. I'm sorry, but I mean the fact that no one had that the thumbnail to this show today, which had a picture of the future king, Prince William, and Andrew, and it said the nonce, comma, and future king. See what I did there? Good old use of the Oxford comma, I think. Anyway, Miss Paula Thomas, thank you very much for saving me there. I have fun. Sandringham is the only property the king owns. When Edward VIII abdicated, George VI had to buy it off him. That's why Andrew H. Windsor is there. Ooh, that's very interesting. So it's the only property he owns. Maybe we could have fun with that, my friends. Fun on Halloween. Meet Mr. Windsor. The fall of the House of York. King begins the process to strip Andrew of Prince title. Wills backs Charles's move amid yet more Epstein fallout. He's ordered to leave the Royal Lodge, and Fergie's out too. Royals say thoughts are with victims of all abuse. Finally, fuck off, you gobshite. Andrew stripped of his prince title and home. The non-story. Didn't I say this was a non-story yesterday? I'm sure I said this yesterday. Reeves misled Starmer about license for property rental. The people who were supposed to do the property rental have gone on record now saying the firm, the estate agents or whatever the fuck it was that was supposed to sort that out, have gone on record yesterday to say, yeah, we fucked up. It's a complete non-fucking story. It was like, it's a piece of paperwork. It is, honestly, like, I know she should have fucking done it, and I know she should be on top of this stuff as, I don't know, Chancellor of the fucking Exchequer, but I hate this. I hate the way that the rich, that the powerful put it on us, that if we fuck up once, that's it. You know, we accidentally don't fill in a form that we didn't even fucking know about. It's like, ha ha, caught you, got you. You know, when you park in a car park, and every car park in the country's got different fucking rules. Some of them you got to put a ticket in the window. Some of them you got to pay when you park. Some of them you got to pay after you park. Some of them, but there's no consistency anywhere. And if you fuck it up because you're in a hurry and you don't read the sign correctly, that's it. Pow! £100 fine, motherfucker. Pay within 14 days, and we might knock it down to £50, which is what you earn in a day, if you're lucky. Through super chats. Thank you, Paula Thomas. Mate, I hate it. I hate living in a world where we are on edge all the time, because every time we make the slightest little fucking mistake, it costs us. And no, I don't think this should cost the Chancellor of the Exchequer, the first female Chancellor of the Exchequer in history. I don't think this should cost her job. If she doesn't do a good budget at the end of next month, fair enough. Don't let me stop you. Don't let me get in your way. That's a terrible budget. She doesn't get rid of the 2-child benefit cap. She doesn't bring in wealth taxes. She doesn't bring in windfall taxes for the non-wind farm energy creators, the slimy nightmare fuel emporium sellers. If she doesn't do that, yeah, fine, get rid of her. But for this, should she lose her job? No, she shouldn't lose her job. And I don't think that you should, because you filled a form in incorrectly, you missed a fucking letter off, you didn't fill in the date or whatever. I don't think that there should be a financial penalty to that. Because I'm sick and tired of hearing about people doing absolutely horrible shit, like punching someone on the fucking underground and getting the same sort of fine that you would get for misreading a fucking sign and going 2 miles an hour over this fucking speed limit. I'm not advocating speeding here. Obviously, I've rather the speed limit was 20 miles an hour everywhere. That's just me. Just keep them on the motorway, 20 miles an hour, just in case the scribble runs out. Save the scribbles. That's what I say. But aside from that, right? If you make a mistake when you buy something like National Express, right? So I once bought a ticket for National Express coaches to go to fucking London or somewhere, or maybe Liverpool, I don't know. And the ticket was £12.50, right? And as soon as I pressed the button, as soon as I pressed the fucking mouse button, I went, oh, fuck. And noticed that as the thing's spinning round, right? I noticed that instead of putting October, I put November, right, for the month. So it was the correct day. It was March, wasn't it? It was March after a February of 28 days. So it was the correct day of the week. It was the correct day of the month. It was the wrong month. Simple mistake, right? Simple fucking mistake. £12.50 ticket. Shit. I immediately try and cancel it. Won't let me cancel it. I have to call up, right? So I call them up, right? Waiting on fucking hold for like an hour. Finally get through, right? I need to cancel this ticket. I need to change it. Okay, changes are £13. So, sorry, what? I've just literally bought it like seconds ago. The only reason why it took me so long to get through to you is I've been sitting on hold. I just need to change that month, right? The month is wrong, okay? Everything else is right. Time of the day, where I'm going, it's just the month. I made a small mistake. No, it's going to cost you more than the ticket itself to fix your mistake, Graham. And when you're living on not much money, as I was at the time, still am. When you're living off not much money, like every pound matters. Every penny matters. This is the world we live in. Don't make a mistake. Don't make one little fucking mistake. I once got a train to Edinburgh, right? And I had, got the train app, had the ticket on there, whatever. And it was a split save ticket, right? And so when I've been on a split save ticket before, I've stayed on the same train and, stayed where I was and then gone on, right? Got past Newcastle, checking the tickets. Oh, you're supposed to get off at Newcastle and get on this other train. And I'm like, oh, okay. But we were late getting into Newcastle on this train. And so even if I was supposed to get on another train, I wouldn't have made that connection because of this train being late. And they wanted to give me a fine. Even though I paid for the fucking ticket, which wasn't cheap. But because it was a different train operator whose split save ticket I was supposed to change at Newcastle. I didn't realise. It was a mistake that I didn't change. But I couldn't have changed because the train I was on from Durham to Newcastle was late. And I'm sick of it. I'm sick and tired of hearing these stories about someone who does something really fucking horrible and gets a £150 fine. Goes to court, costs the taxpayer fucking thousands to pay for the judge and pay for the fucking, the magistrate or whoever the fuck it is, and pay for the court clerk and pay for all the, the managerial side of it and pay for the police officers and all that. They're all going to be paid and they get a £150 fine for doing something fucking horrible. Meanwhile, you make a mistake in your paperwork. You make an innocent mistake, you get on the wrong fucking train and that's it. Bang, 80 quid. Bang, 100 quid. Bang, 200 quid. You've got to pay the fine and you've got to get a ticket for the thing that you were supposed to get on. It pisses me off more than anything. And well, actually, no, that's a lie. Lots of things piss me off. But it's one of the things about modern life that we're always on edge in case we fuck up. Because we know there's always going to be a financial penalty for us if we fuck up. For the rich, they can fuck up time and time and time again and get away with it. They can fuck up in the most horrific way. They can fuck up by literally harming another human being in unspeakable ways. And if they're rich and went to a posh private school, like, I don't know, took a name out of the thin air, Russell Brand, you get away with it, don't you? Is he going down? Is he? I heard he got arrested. Fucking monster. I'm out of focus. Come on, Graham. Focus. Diplodocus. Thanks, Thatcher. Granted, I should have taken a beat booking, but you're out of whack when something that happens, aren't you? Well, yeah, I mean, Ben Viddings, just in general, like the rail system in this country, or the public transport system, it punishes the spontaneous and bereaved. If you've got to get somewhere because someone's fucking died, oh my God, that's going to cost you a lot of money. You buy a ticket on the day. You fucking kidding me? Could be your week's wages. Could be your week's wages after tax that you have to spend on getting a fucking train to take you. And they've made it so like everyone's fucking... One of the things about the motorways that I fucking hate, right? Motorways are psychological warfare against humans, right? Motorways are disgusting. They are polluting. They're dangerous as fuck. They result in the death of hundreds of humans every fucking year because they're so fucked and they have this stupid idea that the cars can't stop. No, you can't put up temporary traffic lights on a motorway, even though that would help the flow. You know, you can't do that. Can't do that. It's got to be contraflow. Got to do this. Got to do that. Like repairing motorways costs an absolute fucking fortune because you've got to allow the cars to still travel on the motorway while the motorway is being repaired, which is mental. Like imagine you were fixing a railway track while the trains were running on the railways. You would never do it. You wouldn't do it. A lot of the maintenance done on train tracks in the UK are done at night when the trains aren't running. That's when they do the maintenance, and they put it all back together. Right, and then the next day the trains run on it, and then they have to do it again. And it's a pain in the arse. If we had an alternative route to take, like if the Central Main Line still existed, you could take that from Liverpool to Manchester. Well, you could get from Liverpool to Manchester, and then you could go through the Central Main Line down to London, and you could literally close the West Coast Main Line for 6 months and fix it up instead of doing it piecemeal. But on a motorway. The motorways generally, I know they do stuff at night where you get taken off the motorway and you go on the B roads everywhere and then finally get back on the motorway hours later. But if they're doing major updates and things like that they can't just do a night thing on. They have to do the contraflow. And it's ridiculous. It's absolutely fucking ridiculous, especially when there are alternatives to the motorway to take. That's not the point. The point is that is so fucking dangerous. Those work people... working there, protected by what? Fucking traffic cones? Traffic cones? You kidding me? That's what you've got? Jesus Christ. For protection against lunatics driving at fucking 100 miles an hour? Who might be drunk, who might be blind, who might be off their tits on ketamine? I don't fucking know. Come on, peeps, drag it over the line, says Martin Harrow. We have one more super chat to get in the next 3 minutes and 10 seconds. Okay, got 3 minutes and 10 seconds. To drop in one last super chat and you will get confetti. But yeah, one of the other things that no one talks about, right, about motorways. So I could go on you about the architecture of them being disgusting, about concrete bridges being disgusting and falling apart because it's a shit material to make things out of. Just everything about it was done on the cheap. Some motorways were just literally, they just literally pounded down the land, like the soil, and then just laid fucking tarmac on top of it when they were building them in the 50s and 60s. They just had to get it done. And that's why they fucking all fell apart. You know, like the Farewell Viaduct, that they had to close that for years because they had to build another one. And then they had, this is on the M6 going south. And yeah, north, I guess. They had to close it because it was falling apart. It was only like 30, 40 years old. It was falling apart because it was made so badly in the first place. The vibrations causing cracks to appear, water getting into the cracks, then moisture getting into the rebar, in the middle of the rebar expanding as metal does. When it rusts, it oxidizes, it expands, and therefore it cracks the actual bridge. Bridges have fallen down all over the world for this very reason. Okay, says Tim Ballum. Thank you, Tim Ballum. Confetti. Thank you for the confetti. Thank you for the confetti. Thank you for the confetti. Other possible news is the Vice President J.D. Vance allegedly leaving his Indian wife for Charlie Kirk's widow. Halloween witchcraft. Well, that's what they're saying. But thank you very much for the confetti. And ghosts. I did promise ghosts, didn't I? Here you go. Here you go, my friends. Oh, hang on. That's not the right thing to press. There we go. Sorry. Having a moment. Just give me a second. I pressed, instead of pressing Windows full stop, I pressed Windows M and it made everything minimize. Anyway, here we go. Ghosts. Loads of fucking ghosts. You can have all the fucking ghosts. Here you go. So many ghosts. How many ghosts do you want? I'm going to give you about 100 ghosts. Here we go. This is lots of ghosts coming. Yeah. Okay. And I'll get back onto the motorway. Don't worry, I'm not driving. Boom! There you go. Look at that. How's about that? Look at all those ghosts. Thank you for the super chats. You get lots of ghosts for spooky Halloween. Okay, so what else? So they took up all of the railways, right? Well, they took up half of the railway lines in the UK, right? And they took away the central main line, so that we would have to use motorways. We discussed this before. Ernest Marples, the Secretary of State for Transport at the time under the Tory government, also owned Marples Ridgeway Construction, which built flyovers and motorways and shit. They built the Hammersmith flyover, right? So they were trying to stop people from getting anywhere on the train because the train was cheaper than driving. But he wanted to sell. He wanted to build motorways. They wanted to sell cars. They wanted to burn oil, right? Here's the thing, right? What else can't you do on a motorway? Can't hitchhike. There's hardly any hitchhiking going on in this country. I know you get like car share apps and stuff like that, but generally speaking, you can't stand legally. You can't stand on the roundabouts, on the slip road of a motorway. You can't stand on the hard shoulder of a motorway with your thumb out. It's illegal. It's illegal. It's massively illegal. You get picked up by the police. You could end up, with a fine for doing that. And so they made it so there's two factors in this. One of this is the stranger danger bullshit that they put out that, getting into someone else's car was dead dangerous. That was a dead dangerous thing to do. Other countries, hitchhiking is just normal because they just have normal fucking roads and you can stand on the end of the edge of the side of the road and someone can pull over and pick you up and take you. I used to take hitchhikers when I was younger, when I was driving down to London for whatever reason. I'd pick up a hitchhiker on Queen's Drive before I got onto the motorway. But once you're on the motorway, you can't pick people up. And you don't see any hitchhikers anymore. You used to see people with a sign, saying Brighton or something, or Bristol or Birmingham or Baghdad or something, wherever they wanted to go, and you'd pull over and pick them up, Why not? Why wouldn't you do that? But we've got the mentality in this country because of the whole, oh my God, everyone's out to fucking stab you in the face. Lies being trotted out by the mainstream media, by the tabloids every day to keep people in fear. I don't want to get the neuroscience mixed up here, right? Because I don't know, right? But there's a part of your brain, I think it's called the amygdala, and it's bigger and it's your fear response, right? And it's bigger in people who are right wing. It's bigger in people. So my fear is, people ask me, was I scared when I got on that leaky wooden canoe, the pirogue, to travel from Dakar in Senegal over to Praia in Cape Verde, 650 kilometers over open ocean, a 4-day journey, non-stop 4-day journey, with just an outboard motor, no satellite phone, no fucking distress beacons, no fucking distress flares. I had to buy my own life vest. Was I scared? No, I wasn't. I just don't get scared. I was too stupid to be scared. Was I scared when I was in jail for a week in Congo? No, not really. I was just pissed off. I was just kind of angry most of the time. Like I was being held in a fucking, in a cell for no reason. Just saying. So yeah, the fear response, and that's what sells the newspapers. They know that their viewers, their readers, are people who are essentially driven by fear. And so hitchhiking is not a thing in the United Kingdom anymore. It just isn't. I've not seen anyone even try to hitchhike for so long. I know there's an app, I know that you can do it that way, but that's a bit different to just standing at the side of the road with a sign saying, can someone pick me up to take me to this place? Which worked, I picked people up when I was when I was driving on my own. Just me and Vids, thank you very much for the €5 super chat. Stay safe and have a nice Halloween. Samhain, Thank you. Sorry for butchering the pronunciation there. Yeah, so that they made it so that people were scared to get into people's cars because they thought that that was a way to die, and they made it so it was almost impossible to actually stand near a motorway and get picked up. They made it specifically so that the mindset of the motorway is the cars cannot stop, but they always do because of the mindset, because the cars cannot stop. It's fucking crazy. I heard Vance's wife Usher possibly leaving him. I had no idea about the involvement of the loathsome Erica Kirk. Yeah, Erica Kirk, didn't know her name. She has the right number of K's in her name. I was just thinking that, L. I thought exactly the same thing. You must share the same brain. But yes, to reflect who she is and married. Ben Ridding says, has anyone watched the iHip podcast here? It's brutal about MAGA and the current incumbent stateside. I would hope so. Scary goats, woo, says L, with some scary goats there. We don't carve pumpkins in Scotland. We carved turnips. I used to carve turnips when I was a kid. We didn't have pumpkins. When I was a kid, we didn't have pumpkins. We just said all we had was no bananas. All we ate was barbed wire and custard. Anyway, should we go back to the papers because we kind of abandoned them a while ago, didn't we? Obviously, we made the super chat target, so I will go on. Andrew stripped of his Prince title. Reeves misled. Okay, right. So we got them out of the way. The Daily Tory graph here. We've got Andrew no longer Prince, and then Reeves cover up claims and £38,000 bill after breaking housing law. Rachel Reeves faces accusations of a cover-up after she wrongly claimed she and her husband did not know they needed a license to rent out their home. Yeah, all right. I think they didn't the people say that they'll sort it out. I mean, people have a lot on their plate, and if she'd really fucked up, because I still don't think that Angela Rayner should have resigned. I do not think Angela Rayner should have resigned for just a fuck up. An innocent mistake. This wasn't. You got to understand. Just put this into context. Just put it into fucking context for a minute, right? When you're talking about what happened with Angela Rayner not paying stamp duty, what was it? A few £1,000, whatever, right? And then she found out and she paid it. So Boris Johnson was the Prime Minister, all right? Not the Deputy Prime Minister, not the Chancellor Secretary. He was the fucking Prime Minister. And he got an £800,000 loan from somewhere. We don't know where. We don't know who gave him that fucking loan. Right? Right? But it was brokered by a guy he then made the chairman of the fucking BBC. Quid pro quo. Come on. I just... And yet he continued on as Prime Minister. That's not the thing that brought him down. It's not the thing that brought him down. He's busy having parties. You talk to people and they're like, you mention all the parties that Boris Johnson had when we were locked down. We couldn't be with our dying mothers during lockdown, for fuck's sake. And he's going, I'll have a party every night. I'll have a party the night before the funeral of Prince Philip. The night before the funeral, they were pissing wine up the fucking walls. They were having sex in the fucking closets. They were breaking the kids' fucking swing set. There was wine. There was cocaine. There was lots of little baggies of cocaine everywhere. Right? And then you say this to a Tory voter or a refuck voter, and they go, oh yeah, but what about Starmer's beer? What? What the fuck? So in a private residence, right, in the Miners' Institute in Durham, right, in which the kid who was a privately educated son of, I don't know, a fucking newspaper editor or something, took a picture of Keir Starmer through a fucking window while he was there meeting with my MP, Mary Foy, to talk about the election strategy for the by-election in Hartlepool, right? Which they lost, by the way, at the time. They won it in the last election. But and there he is, having a beer. And they're like, oh my God, he broke lockdown rules by having a beer. No, he didn't. That was very much within the lockdown rules. And one beer does not a party make. Believe me. But there's just false equivalence that just rides through the right wing where they see someone not filling a form incorrectly as bad as someone raping a child. You know, it's like, well, it's the same thing if you think about it. You know, people on the left, they do terrible things as well. I mean, one time there was a form that wasn't filled incorrectly. They were supposed to pay an extra 50 quid and they forgot to pay that 50 quid. And that, I mean, Jesus Christ. What a time to be alive. Let's move on. Banished. Sensation as King strips Andrew of his prince title and forces him out of Royal Lodge as punishment for the Epstein scandal. And humiliation for Reeves as she changes her story. And then we've got Sydney Sweeney, who's a fascist for some reason. I don't know why. Grins and bears it. She's got her boobs out at a premiere or something. I don't know. But they've put smiley faces over her nipples so you can't actually see her boobs. Cool. And then you've got the royal, formerly known as Prince, and he's out of the lodge too. You see, I thought the Andrew, I had Arsehole originally as the title of this video, but I changed it to Andrew, the Andrew formerly known as Prince. I thought that was funnier. The royal, that doesn't work because it's got to be A, hasn't it? It's got to be the artist. It's got to be something that is alliterative of artist or preferably rhymes with artist. Maybe the arsonist, formerly known as Prince. And then we've got millennial spokeswoman, self-esteem there. I'm reclaiming the right to be hysterical. We've got a Halloween family fun pull out there in the I newspaper. The family, which sounds like fun. £250 stealth tax hike in budget as Reeves faces questions about house rent row. I'm sorry, but we don't know. We don't know. We don't know. Prince stripped of monarchy. Stripped of monarchy. Andrew stripped of Prince title in a historic move to stave monarchy. Reeves clings on as she blames a estate agent for failing to secure a license to rent out a house, which sounds like what happened. I just do not care. The way the papers, the right-wing papers, and even the Independent, which is owned by... Is the Independent owned by fucking Lavrov these days, is it? Is it? Not Lavrov, what's his name? You know, the other guy. The one whose dad was a FBI, KGB agent. Yeah, that one. Is it still owned by him? He owned it for a bit, didn't he? Andrew humiliated as he's stripped of his Royal Prince title. Andrew to be stripped of his royal titles, must move out of home. Don't Have Nightmares, the least scary movies ever made. And what we have here is, it looks like Shaun the Sheep singing in the rain, for which the songs for Singing in the Rain were written before the film. So they made the plot of the film revolve around the songs. That's why often they make no fucking sense at all. Good morning, what a wonderful day. But yeah, and Spirited Away. No, it's not Spirited Away. What's that one? That's My Neighbor Totoro. My Neighbor Totoro over here with the girl with her brush cleaning up the little soot demons in the movie. Florence and the Machine gets 4 out of 5 for their new album. Well done. Andrew to be stripped of his royal titles must move out of home. Lettings agency takes blame for Reeves' error, which is what I said. They're taking the blame, so non-story as far as I'm concerned. UN leaders condemn Sudan mass killings. This is absolutely horrific story that should really be on the front cover of all the newspapers right now. But the Rapid Support Forces, the RSF forces in the Darfur region, are killing people on a genocidal level. The trigger warning here for people. The piles of bodies and the blood, the blood stain, what they're doing can be seen from space. The satellite imagery that shows just the most horrific scenes that are going on in Darfur. This is an extension of something that's been going on and off for 20 years in Darfur. This is Muslim fundamentalists killing everyone who isn't a Muslim. So I don't know how much you know about the history of Sudan, but Sudan is a fiction. It's a thing created by the British Empire, somewhere to put people who weren't, in Egypt and weren't in Ethiopia, I guess. And they just drew these artificial fucking boundaries around it and went, you're all one country now. And they put a bunch of Muslims with a bunch of people who weren't Muslims. They were Christians, Coptic Christians, and also animists. And they had all their native religions. And Britain did this on purpose. Britain and France and Belgium and the Dutch and the Spanish and the Portuguese, they did this. They put countries together with people they knew wouldn't get on. So once they were out, once they'd stolen all the natural resources they could get away with, they put these people together who fucking hated each other. Have a look at Nigeria. The north is Muslim, the south is Christian. They fucking hate each other. They fight all the time. Have a look at Côte d'Ivoire. The north is Christian, the south is Muslim. They fight all the fucking time. Oh no, sorry, the north is Muslim, the south is Christian. You have a look at Rwanda, where they put Hutus and Tutsis together. In fact, they declared whether someone was Hutu or Tutsi based on the shape of their noses, never minding what actual tribe they were from. And they set these places up to fail, and we set up Sudan to fail. We have a big part of this. It was Lord Kitchener of Khartoum. Khartoum is the capital of Sudan. Civil war in Sudan for many years led to the creation of South Sudan in 2011, a breakaway part of Sudan, which is majority animist Christian, not Muslim. And the Darfur region was left with Sudan, and it was only a matter of time, I guess, before the nightmare started again for the people of Darfur. And the way that the international gaze at the moment is away from Sudan, it's away from Congo, it's focused on Gaza, which is obviously, been used as Israel just in general, and the terrible things the Israeli government and the IDF have done have been used as a weapon of mass distraction for a very, very long time. And that'll continue to happen. And while we're obsessing over world tittle tattle, people are fucking dying. People are being massacred in their thousands in Darfur right now as we speak. And our government and other governments are doing fuck all about it. And we're going down the same route that we did 25 years ago when the Second Congolese War kicked off. 6 million people killed. 6 million people killed in the Second War in Congo. And it was the Great War of Africa, really, because it wasn't just contained to the Democratic Republic of Congo. It also involved the Republic of Congo. It involved Uganda. It involved Burundi and Rwanda. And it all just fucking kicked off. And millions of people died. No one's even fucking heard of it. Nobody knows. It wasn't reported. Meanwhile, around the same time, there was an outbreak of Ebola in a village in Nigeria. And that was all over the front page news everywhere in the world. Do you know why? Because that could theoretically affect white people. So yeah, really grim tidings from Sudan right now. It's a horrible story. It's a horrible fucking story. Anyway, I'll just go to the Financial Times, which is the last sensible paper, I think. We've got US and China agree trade détente as Trump hails 12 out of 10 Z summit. That's the fuck is that? Is that like a Spinal Tap reference? He goes one louder than Spinal Tap. Respite for Reeves after letting agents admits mistake in £38,000 rental row. The Chancellor was theoretically liable to repay more than £38,000 in rent after admitting breaching housing rules because she let her family home out without a licence. When a letting agent admitted it was partially to blame. Yeah. I mean, some places you need a licence, some places you don't. In the same way that when we talk about different car parks having different rules depending on where you are. Different councils have different rules on how you can park on the road. In some places, it's completely fine. Liverpool, it's completely fine to park with two tyres on the road, on the pavement. Sorry, in London, it's not. If you park with two tyres on the pavement in London, you'll get a fine, even if you were there for 30 seconds. But yeah, really grim. Wasn't Sudan French though? No, Sudan was part of the British Empire. It may have been French at a time, but no, Sudan. You could at one point after World War I, when the Germans lost all their colonies and they were divvied out between the Allied powers, so they were given to Britain and France and others. So Togoland was German. That went to France. Well, a bit of it went to France. A bit of it was carved up and went and became Ghana, which was British, which was at the time the Gold Coast. Burkina Faso, which was known as Upper Volta until the 80s when Thomas Sankara came along and changed it to the land of. He changed the name to the land of upright men, which is an absolute genius move. Absolutely genius, because how can you be a national of this country if you're dishonest? The land of honest men, but also can be interpreted as the land of people who do the right thing. Not just honest, but they do the right thing. This is the land of people who are good like that. I mean, I don't know about the women; they're probably up to all sorts. But yeah, Upper Volta, also Namibia, which was southwest Africa. That Windhoek, the capital. It's a very strange place. You go there, and there's black people who speak German, and you goes into a shop, and someone will serve you with in English, but with a really strong German accent. Is it Teutonic? Is it called Teutonic? Really strong German accent, and you're like, whoa, I wasn't expecting that. So that was German. The big one though was Tanganyika. That was German, and home to the highest mountain in Africa, Mount Kilimanjaro. Zanzibar was British. But when you ask about Sudan, there probably was a time when the French ran it, because Zanzibar was French and Madagascar was British, or they took over, right, invaded and annexed the place, and Britain gave up Madagascar, this big fuck off island, one of the biggest islands in the world, and all the rich diversity and the minerals and everything. They gave it up for this little tiny island off the coast of Tanganyika called Zanzibar, and the reason they did that was because of one thing: saffron. The food flavoring, the spice, saffron. Yeah. Pound for pound, worth more than gold. You can never underestimate the importance of condiments. Wars have been fought over pepper. Empires have fallen because of cinnamon. It's as simple as that. But yeah, so Britain had Zanzibar, and then when Zanzibar and Tanganyika got independence, they decided to put their lot in together, and they created the country Tanzania. That's why it's called Tanzania. It's Tanganyika for the first three letters, and then the next three letters are Zan from Zanzibar. That's a portmanteau word. I think that's the right word, isn't it? Portmanteau. But yeah, so there was a few German places in Africa that ended up going to the British or to the French. And but at one point after World War I and before the fall of the empire, Britain had wanted to build a railway from Alexandria in the top of Egypt, in the north of Egypt, all the way down through Sudan, through Ethiopia, which was independent at the time. Hang on, so it would have gone through Sudan into Uganda, which I think was British, and then into Kenya, and then into Tanzania, which then they owned Tanganyika as it was, and then through Zambia, which was North Rhodesia, then through Zimbabwe, which was South Rhodesia, and then into South Africa and all the way down to Cape Town. They wanted to build a railway all the way, a trans-African railroad, which never got built, never got finished. I think they tried, but you could go all the way from the very, very north of Africa all the way to the northern tip of Africa to the southern tip of Africa without leaving a British colony or protectorate or whatever the fuck they called them in the age of the scramble for Africa. But yeah, Germany also lost Papua New Guinea. The North Papua New Guinea was German. And they also lost Nauru in the Pacific Ocean and a few other places. Saffron, the most expensive thing on the planet by weight. Yeah. Saffron? Yeah. We wanted saffron, so we swapped. We swapped Madagascar for Zanzibar. We swapped one of the biggest islands in the world for one of the smallest ones because saffron grew in Zanzibar. And we were just like, we need that money, man. We need the money. Give us the money. Zanzibar, the birthplace of Freddie Mercury. It was. Sounds very much like the German community in Argentina and Paraguay, I think. There's a big German community. I think some of them are Nazis now who escaped. It didn't go to America. Operation Paperclip. As the American government getting out all the elite scientists and stuff from the Nazi regime and getting them over to America with new lives and new identities. Operation Paperclip. Patagonia Welsh speak better Welsh than we do, says Mr. Tisk. Yeah, I mean, well, I guess they've been allowed just to speak Welsh, whereas actual Welsh speakers living in Wales were kept down by the English for many years. You weren't allowed to teach Welsh. It was illegal. It was illegal to teach Welsh in school in Wales for many years. That is kind of crazy. I prefer to play campaign for North Africa. And me and my sister used to fight over the ketchup when we were kids. Well, there you go, Ernie. You see? Spicy sauces are where it's at. Okay, so I think we're done. Was there more on the FT? There's something I wanted to mention before I go. Dutch shift to the centre as far-right fades in poll. Liberal Dutch leader Rob Jetten, is tipped to be the next Prime Minister of the Netherlands after voters rejected the government headed by the far right. And his D66 party performed better than expected. He's going to be the youngest, one of the youngest, if not the youngest, leader in Europe. But also, he's the first openly gay leader in Europe. So that's fucking fantastic. So that's a big win for the LGBT community, I feel. And more gay people in positions of power. With the possible exception of Wes Streeting, who can get all the way to fuck. Okay, so I'm going to leave it at that. I'll be back at 1 o'clock for the agenda with Phil Morehouse. And then I'll be back again tonight, 9:30, for some spooky Halloween extravaganza. That's going to be our Friday night social. So please join us for both of them if you can. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for the courteous messages. And thanks for everyone for staying really lovely and civil. I absolutely love the way this community looks after each other and looks out for each other and is respectful. And it really does give me hope for the future of humanity. So thank you for joining us each morning as we go through the headlines. Like I say, I'll be back at 1 o'clock, and thank you so much for the super chats. You keep this channel alive. You keep me alive. I wouldn't be able to do shit if it wasn't for you. And there have been other LGBT plus open prime ministers. Says just me and Vids in Europe. I read that he was the first in Europe. I might be wrong. And Mr. Tisk says, got my New Statesman to read the article about abolishing monarchy. Yeah. Except Peter Thiel. Yeah, him as well. He's a gobshite. And Jimmy says, have a fab day, everyone. Can I echo that? Have a really good day. Have some fun. Dress up if you got to. Make sure you got some sweets in case some kids come knocking at your door tonight. Get them some fruit. Get them some vegetables. Even better. Get some fucking broccoli. Here you go, lads. Have some fucking broccoli. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. And until next time, I'll say hello, good evening, welcome, and goodbye.